So, again, how is this, verified and enforceable? I mean, you can write down,
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
realistically, if it came to it, and they had a situation where someone attempted to contact the local contact person and that person either doesn't exist
So
or.
they answer, but they.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, I live in Delaware,
Or I'm in Hawaii right now.
so.
That's what I mean, how is it
That would be,
enforceable?
But then it's a violation of the
That's a
ordinance.
violation of the ordinance.
So you're saying this person that's the contact person could never go on vacation?
Or they
Designate someone else.
that's available.
So, but
I mean,
that
that's,
circumvents what you're saying, that they have to be in a 20-mile, radius.
Well, they designate somebody who is.
They are designating someone that might live in Detroit. That person goes to Hawaii, something happened, we call, they're like, yeah, I'm the contact person, I'm in Hawaii. He's saying that's a violation.
Right.
So you're saying that the person who's a
Before
contact
you
person.
hop on a plane to Hawaii,
have to make sure
you
you're covered.
say, can you cover for me, cause I'm gonna be on
Right,
vacation.
I mean, the gist of the ordinance is that they have to have somebody on
yeah,
call.
and it is a
Well, they do
requirement
have
that
somebody
if
on call.
If that
24/7.
individual changes, then the burden is on.
Does it say it in here?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
says that this information shall be updated by the license holder immediately if it changes.
So, I own a house in Lakeford. I have a designated property manager who's within 20 miles.
Mhm.
So you're saying that my property manager needs to call me to tell me that he's going on vacation, and then I have to find someone else.
Well,
Or, they have an emergency out of the state or outside 20 miles. They need to stop what they're doing and call me so I can get someone. I'm just saying all
No,
the
I
little,
mean,
you know.
in that situation, I would think, so, okay, so if the person's truly on vacation or they're having some sort of emergency that they're not able, you know, and if they say, okay, hey, can you call, here's, I'm gonna give you the number to Bruce, he knows the owner, he lives close by, he can take care of the situation. You know, that in and of itself is not a violation of the ordinance. The ordinance is, that person still resides within 20 miles of the city.
Right.
They're just, at the moment they're being called upon, they're on vacation. Or they
But
have
does this say this? Because again, not just picking on you, what Bruce just said, they're in violation. Because the person that's on that's,
But I think it's a violation if the local, so again,
There's no local
if
contact
there's no
available.
local contact, or that local contact is, does not normally reside, I mean, when you go on vacation, you're not changing your residence, you're just going on vacation, so you still reside where you reside, you're just
Right.
not there at that point in time. So there's no requirement that in the ordinance that the person must be within 24, or within 20 miles, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's just that the person you're designating, their normal residence is within 20 miles, so that presumably they could respond in a timely manner if there's an emergency situation.
Right, because that's ultimately is the purpose, is to have somebody available if an emergency occurs.
I mean, and, having stayed in Airbnbs and short-term rentals myself previously, most of the time you're provided with a contact, phone number of somebody, and if you have an issue, that's who you're gonna call. You're gonna call that person, you're gonna call Airbnb. By the time you get down to the city to start calling to see if they have an ordinance that requires someone to be, I mean, that's, someone spent some time on that, to get to that point, so.
Do you think there should be, where it says all rental units must have a local contact person, maybe you add, I guess for city offices only, or some kind of, just so they know that it's
Well,
not necessarily.
We did
is it just
remove,
assumed?
we did remove the requirement that, previously it was originally suggested that, that local agent's contact information be provided to all residents within 300
Yeah, I was
feet of
gonna
the
ask about
property.
that.
Mhm.
We did take that part of it out. Again, if residents, neighbors have an issue with the property, it's gonna, more likely gonna be a noise type complaint or some sort of a safety issue. Call the police department. That's gonna be your first step. This, I envision a scenario where this may, if utilized, it's gonna be where you've got a tenant that has had a difficult time getting, the clerk has experiences where, getting business licenses for some of the local businesses will come in and they'll say, well, my landlord hasn't given me this, or I don't have this information from my landlord. At that point, we can say, well, have you tried the local contact person? Your landlord's provided this individual as being, who's their kind of, to manage their issues on a day-to-day basis. That's really kind of how I see this information being beneficial. You know, I don't anticipate 10 o'clock at night, someone's gonna be fielding calls at the city, hey, you know, there's a large party going on at the short-term rental next door, can you call the local contact person and have them, and they're gonna call the police department, that's who's gonna address that situation. Now, the police department may utilize this information after they throw those people out, say, hey, we just evicted these people, you wanna come lock up your property, or whatever the situation may be, they may utilize that contact information, but I don't see it, and to answer Jim's question, I didn't see a need to provide that information to the meeting.
So you put the short-term rental unit shall, be subject to the city's sign ordinance? Just so they're not advertising on.
Yeah,
site.
just, we don't want, you know, a bunch of bed and breakfast signs that basically pop up.
And then there's, another, the short-term property parking is not allowed on the streets, but yet and still, street parking is available to renters and homeowners.
Wasn't that overnight street parking?
No, it says parking not allowed on the streets from what I read.
What, section
Looking
was
it up,
that?
looking it up.
I remember reading that, but I don't remember it specifically.
Yeah, all parking associated with short-term rental shall be entirely on-site, in the garage, driveway, or other improved area. No street parking shall be permitted in
So-
association with the short-term rental.
Why should the short-term rental be any different than, long-term rentals or, residential owners or property owners?
Again, I think it's, this, I think it was drawn from the, local, home occupation ordinance that we don't allow, and you can have a home occupation, but you can't, you know, if you're gonna have people come working for you, you can't be parking on the street, all of your traffic has to be contained on the site, just to minimize, you know, the impact on the residents and on long-term rental, properties that, you know, again, I think, not always the case, but, with a lot of short-term rentals, they're been utilized for gatherings, although we did put a limit, on the number of people and occupants per bedroom and the total number of occupants in a household. It's 10 is the maximum, but, you know, there's a propensity or a likelihood that you may have more people at these homes than you would normally have in an owner-occupied home, and that increased parking could create a burden on other residents, and so to eliminate the possibility of that burden, we're requiring that all parking be contained on the site.
So, just for giggles again, I decided to put my house up for Airbnb. Only 4 cars can park in the driveway without blocking the, sidewalk 4. But you're giving a limit of 10 people that can be there. 10 people all decide to come over, and so you park on the grass.
No, I mean, unless you had an improved parking surface.
Oh yeah,
on
I
the
get it, okay,
grass,
so,
but
I just, that,
we could direct them to the nearest parking parking lot. but-
I just think that that's gonna be, not everybody has long driveways.
You know, I don't know that I have any problem with that, because I appreciate what Scott said in terms of these short-term rentals. You know, one of the things we do wanna do is minimize the impact on the neighbors. And if you're gonna have a short-term rental and they're going to be hosting 10 people and having functions, it's going to impact the parking situation for the neighbors. I mean, the neighbors aren't gonna be able to park in front of their own house, they're gonna be, you know, they're gonna be taking up, space that may be an imposition to the neighbors. I don't think that's an
I mean, I can tell you.
unusual request.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you when Milford first allowed short-term rentals, the the biggest complaints we got, were the number of people at these houses and the parties that were going on, and then the parking, that the parking was up and down the street. And now maybe 10 people are only staying there, but maybe there's 400 people that are coming for the graduation party and only 10 are staying. It just,
I personally think that that's gonna be flushed out, and the great thing is for us to have, discussions. I don't agree in, like I said, the short driveways. And there are, driveways that are either short or it's the, where you have the one car garage, so you have that one lane or one, help me.
Width.
Thank you. And then it seems like it is really going against what the ordinance already is about overnight parking. And so, a long-term rental can park on the street, like I said. A homeowner can block the whole street, but have cars all the way down the street. That's,
Well, I think-
agree to disagree.
Yeah, I think what the difference here, I think, is that the short-term rental is gonna be high-intensity use, or higher intensity use. So it
Perhaps,
might be,
but
it might be a regular thing where,
But isn't that kind of what's flushed out in the short-term rental, where there's certain things you cannot do?
well, I mean, yeah, there's limitations on occupancy that
Right.
attempt to limit, but that's, again, that's, people that are staying there, you know, and I was just thinking that when we had issues with business overflow parking in residential streets, we took action, council took action and limited parking to one side of the street. It's, you know, it's the non-permanent types of vehicles that, you know, the city has a tendency to regulate, and again, that's for the benefit of the residents and the long-term occupancy, rental properties. Yeah, happy to take it out or to modify it to, maybe limit 1 or 2 cars parked on the street. If that's the pleasure of the council.
I don't have a huge problem with that. But, I mean, cause you are right, I mean, there are a lot of houses that have really short driveways or single width driveways, so they would be discriminated is the wrong word, but I can't think of the right word, discriminated against. I mean, disadvantage, I guess is the word, but, I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
that's a huge issue either way.
I say if you set a car limit, I'm not against opposed to that.
I guess in theory, I'm not opposed to, you know, allowing a specific number, but, I mean, I've rented Airbnbs and houses and, you know, there are rules that come with all those houses. You know, you abide by them, so if you're gonna be renting your house out and the rule is, you know, figure it out, you're only gonna be allowed because of a short driveway, 4 cars, 3 cars, there are 8 cars in my driveway, but I mean, you know, so, I mean, if you're gonna be renting it out, the renters are gonna know. Or should know, or, you know, but, I mean, if, I appreciate the concern, if you wanted to, you know, limit it to a specific number.
Or leave it as it is, and I can get 6 cars in my driveway, but I'm parking over the sidewalk.
Oh,
And
see,
so there's enough,
put
you know.
4 in front, 4 in the
I'm just
back.
saying,
Yeah,
so, I mean,
yeah, you go ahead and park across the driveway.
oh, I
See
already
what
read
happens.
stuff about people parking across the driveway, that's what I'm saying, it's, you know.
But what about we say 2 cars, it's 2 plus 2 car street?
Yeah,
What do
no
you guys
more
think?
than,
No more than 2 cars.
but again, the rules, you know, they need to know,
It's still not overnight parking.
It's still not
Yeah,
overnight.
Right.
Agreed.
yeah. Water in the bucket. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll get it, I just wanted to know.
That's our hint.
I didn't like you, I got everything else water, but you were too far away.
No, that's fine, I will.
So you have that, city attorney?
Okay, so we're amending it to allow no more than 2 vehicles
Yeah.
parked on the street, subject to the city's limitations on overnight parking.
Yes.
Do we need to, include that modification of the motion later, or we just say? ordinance
Yeah,
as-
I mean, this is the first reading of this, so we'll have another meeting where those changes will be updated. You could reference
Reference it in the
those
discussion.
changes that we discussed, but.
Okay, any other discussion on the rental ordinances? Hearing none. Next is the 2025 Community Champions Playground Grant.
So Game Time, they are essentially a playground manufacturer, but they just announced their 2025 grant program. So for a limited time, Game Time's offering up to 100% matching funds for some of their playscapes. So we don't have anything budgeted for playscapes this year, but this is an opportunity that came across. I wanted to discuss with council to see if this is something you would potentially be interested in. Municipal Park, we still have the DNR grant outstanding for that, so I wouldn't look for anything for that. Plus, that's a much bigger project than what we look for this. But Syracuse Park, we're remulching it within the next week or so. We know that playground's at the end of its useful life. We're trying to get a feel from council to see if you are interested in having staff apply for this grant, and then work with the Parks Department to potentially come up with a playscape design. And then if awarded, naturally we'd have to use fund balance dollars on this.
What is the limited time only?
So reading through it, they essentially made it sound like first come, first serve. But they also said, if I remember right, they said they won't start announcing winners until October.
So if you win, we have to do the match, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know, I was trying to read through it, do you know if all of their parks are ADA accessible?
So their playscapes, you can get ADA playscapes. For Syracuse Park, I would probably say, depending on what their program or the grant requirements that make it sound like it is required. We would look at it, one of the things with the park though, since it is a mulch ground, it wouldn't meet ADA requirements to begin with. So we could go for more standardized playscape there, for that route.
This is just FYI, cause it's not on our,
No action on it.
okay, okay. Thank you for sharing those.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I got mixed feelings.
So do I.
I mean, it's a great opportunity and it's exciting to be able to replace what we have in Serac-Wood. But on the other hand, we've got a vote coming up in November where our residents are gonna decide what kind of community we are. So on one hand, I think it's a great opportunity. On the other hand, I think we should let the residents decide. And if the residents support Headley, then we'll have some additional funds and we can put this in the bag to prioritize. And if they don't support it, then we have our answer.
When is the deadline to?
That's why I was asking.
Yeah, and actually, if I remember right, early October, I have to look it up again though.
To apply or for?
To apply. So I'd have to look it up again. The other thing is with that park, I've heard naturally redoing the mulch is one thing, but we've also heard that, hey, we potentially explore just removing it and turning it into a green space. One of the things that we are hopefully doing this next year is updating our master parks plan. So maybe holding off on this is a good idea as we get residents feedback, council feedback, planning commission feedback on what we exactly want our parks to look like in the future. So yeah, this just naturally a great opportunity I want to share with you guys, hear your thoughts, but something probably best interest to hold off. So.
You have until October 24th. Oh no, sorry, the application must be October 17th. So we will not be voting. So, yeah, I probably would just, thank you. Next up, City Hall DIA mural.
So as council knows, over a year ago, we started working with the DIA to develop a mural to put on City Hall. Over the past couple months, we had a small little group of folks working with the DIA and their selected artists to put a design together that was created based off the resident survey and then narrowed down based on our feedback. So included in your packet and what I shared with council is roughly the final design. They might make a couple more little tweaks depending on what the DIA board has to say. But this is what we're looking to put on City Hall and to see if council has any additional input, or we kind of keep this process moving forward.
Yeah, my only suggestion would be the suggestion I gave you the other day, which was, if they keep, what's that?
Historical society.
Well, yeah, that I wrote, sent in a question is whether or not we need a HDC
Yeah, and
approval,
with
which I
that,
assume we do.
I remember I asked Scott earlier, I finally found the message. The reading of it's opera, but it is best practice to get their approval, so I did send out a meeting request with them, to try to schedule it for them to review and.
And this is for them to review, but it's, they can give the recommendation, but the council is the ultimate that's going to.
Well, if HCC approves it, then it's good to go.
Oh, so
If
they
they
do
deny,
have
if they
to-
deny it, the appeal process go to council.
So ultimately, like I said, the council is gonna be the one that, okay, gotcha.
Yes, so the suggestion that I made was making, Lathrop Village bigger, the words Lathrop Village, so that, it's easier to see from the street. But other than that, I think it's great.
Any other?
Is it gonna be like on a canvas?
She's gonna paint it right in the brick.
Anything else? Hearing none, open it up for public comments. If anyone wants to be heard, come to the podium and you have 3 minutes.
Where's the podium? Over there?
So, my name is Leslie Valiant, and I live at, on Rackham. I just have a few questions. I work at night, so I'm unable to attend most of the meetings. I was really appreciative that the, town hall on, pilot was, I was able to view it. So I had some questions of one of the residents asked Mike Green something, and I really didn't understand, and I kind of reviewed it a couple times. He asked, I believe the question was, would the revenue be from the school if it was kind of like a normal commercial building? And I believe Mike Green said 600,000 would be the annual revenue, of which 300,000 would go to the DEA. And then the resident asked, well, what would be the, revenue? And I know that there's different things based on vacancy, 120%, 80%. But suppose you realize it. Have you thought about like basically how much the revenue is going to be from this pilot, and are we losing money? And the reason why I'm saying that is because, as our councilman said, we have a revenue problem, not a spending problem. So I'm just concerned that are we leaving money on the table, a lot of money, and I don't think that's gonna address. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
Well, Diane Anderson, and I'm gonna have to go fast because I have 2 items, the mural on the city hall and defamation against the mayor. In terms of the city hall, this anti-preservation council is now apparently going to desecrate this one building that you're leaving left. There's no place for a mural on that building. Architecture is all you have left here. The school system's gone. You basically are trashing the school. You haven't done anything to protect the commercial buildings. That will be the final nail in the coffin for preservation. The other thing I want to alert you to, Kelly posted a very defamatory article about me. She didn't name me by name, but defamation law is my specialty. I sued the Labour Party twice in the Supreme Court of Victoria and I won. I've done quite a bit of defamation and I can assure you there are defamatory imputations. I don't want to hurt the city. I met with Bruce. He didn't know about it. He doesn't believe any of you knew about it. It just was posted up there. And she doesn't say me by name, but I'll tell you at defamation law, there's no doubt about who it is she's talking about. What's more, there are defamatory imputations about white people in Lathrop in general. I don't have time in this brief time to get it all into you. After I met with Bruce, I was supposed to meet with Kelly. But when you do defamation law, the first thing you do is have a private conversation between the 2 parties. And Kelly wouldn't do that. I came in, she was sitting all smug. She had Mike Green there. And she's already, by having Mike Green, having published this thing on the website, if there is a defamation action that goes to court, he innocently gets included because he's the publisher. A lot of bad things would come out in defamation. It would start with the court case, the Title VII case, where you got fired, and then you went to federal court, and you got shut down by federal court when you tried to play race politics. There's so many bad things can come out, and I don't want to see that happen. So what I would simply like is to have my reputation restored. There's an article I published about Juneteenth in the DAR. It's been published this month. I'm happy to give you all a copy of it so you can have a look at it. I would be happy to simply have that up on the website because Kelly has made it clear she doesn't want to talk. As I say, my reputation is important to me. I've got over half a century in civil rights. I was marching with not with Dr. King personally, obviously, but with the movement before Kelly was born. I told you on the night all the things that I have done. My whole life has been progressive politics, and I will not have my reputation impugned in this way. So I'd like to have a way to do this. I'm doing it here, not in the meeting coming up where it would be online, because once this goes online, the media can get it, and once the media get it, there's no going back. As I say, I'm really good at defamation law, and I can take you through every one of the defamatory imputations, but I don't want the city to be harmed. I simply would like all of you to know what's going on, to give you something that you could publish that would then settle the situation.
Thank you. Who's next?
Lauren Barris. Wow. That sounded like a lot of threats to me. I would like to give a shout out to Austin. Thank you so much for all your help with the LBMF. And also, I saw you watering plants, really watering trees and watering our plants. Thank you so much for the extra things that you do. The LBMF is September 13th with a rain date of September 14th. I'm going to mention it every time I can right now. We'll still take a few volunteers, so anybody wants to be included, we want to include you. Airbnb restrictions. I wanted to bring this up because we saw it in the news recently for Dearborn and Dearborn Heights that they actually have restrictions on where you can have the Airbnbs in the community. I can't remember if it was Dearborn or Dearborn Heights, where you can have them and how many you can have them. So some people already had them open and they are not allowed to use them anymore. So I just wanted to make sure that we're considering that too before we get too far with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I always appreciate hearing from Madame Lafarge. Thank you, Lauren. So I am an art graduate. That's my degree. I have a degree in fine arts. I've done murals. I love murals. Murals do not belong in this building. This is a historic building protected by our historic district. We're on the National Registry of Historic Places. Our attorney, Scott Baker, should know how big, how large, what properties are on our historic district. And I don't know, I was assuming, I don't know, I didn't do a good read, but whoever wrote the wording, the verbiage, the residents have been involved for a year, if that's Mike Crane or Austin Colson of the DDA. The residents were not involved, guys. You put out a survey 25 weeks ago, not a year ago, 25 weeks ago. It's documented. And where are the renderings? The council gets to see the renderings, but not the stakeholders, not the people who have actually purchased property and are investors in this neighborhood, in this community. And you know, our attorney should know that the Historic District Commission is supposed to be involved in any alteration on any of our historic buildings, and we have three districts, distinct districts. This building and its grounds, the school building and its grounds, the church and its grounds, and that is how it is on the National Register. We do not have, ask Robin Roberts, I have a long interview with her, we do not have an overarching historic district for all of Lathrop because all of our properties were not 50 years old and older at the time when we registered. But now a lot more, and we could put a lot more of our buildings on the register, and we could increase our footprint, and we could get federal funds. It would be amazing. We should do that. I'm amazed and delighted to hear we're going to get remulching on the Sirackwood Park. Fantastic, McGreen. I wish I had read that somewhere, not just hearing it today for the first time. But if it's in the newsletter and I missed it, bad on me. Fantastic news, finally, because those exposed cement footings are really dangerous to children. Also, I just wanted to mention that so many things on our agenda tonight are for purchases and city contracts awarded to companies without doing our 3 bids. Any purchase over $5,000, you're supposed to get 3 bids at least. And the backhoe is being purchased without bids. The roof consultant, in addition to Giffords Webster, without bids. A 3rd car purchase this year for the LVPD, no bids. We just award these contracts to to our friends, is that how we did? That's not legal. And finally, what, I don't know, the deterrence. The parking acts like a deterrent. Why are we rolling out the carpet for short-term rentals in our community? We need that? Is that what we need? That can be a
Thank you
big
so
problem to
much.
many communities.
Thank you.
So limit
What
the
else
parking,
would like
makes
to be
sense.
heard? Please come to the podium.
Hi there, I'm Kevin Pugh, I'm the account executive with BSB Communications, and we currently provide your telephone system support. And I just wanted you to know that I'm here on behalf of BSB and your residents to ensure that you do have reliable communications and that your residents can communicate with you. We've been on site since January of this year, surveying your equipment and your cabling, and to ensure that you do have up-to-date equipment going forward. This includes your telephone system, your telephone lines, as well as your police lines and your fax lines. We provide coordination for all of that, and we do have a full turnkey solution that we have submitted a bid for. Some of our references include the city of Dearborn, city of Birmingham, Ann Arbor, Romulus, Flint, Auburn Hills, as well as Rochester Hills. So we thank you for being a valued BSB customer and would like to continue providing support for your residents going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Tim Hillman, Sam Clinton Drive. First, thank you for your thoughtful conversation tonight about the policy governing flag displays. There are 18 city halls within a 10-mile radius of this one. 7 of them fly commemorative flags. And Huntington Woods, for example, through the month of June, flew the pride flag, took it down on Juneteenth to fly the Juneteenth flag, and put the pride flag up after that. I appreciate Attorney Baker's thoughtful consideration of the legality surrounding all of this. However, I want to remind the council that these other cities resolved their legal concerns around this several years ago. Oak Park and Madison Heights, for example, resolved their legal concerns in 2018 when they drafted their policies. I noticed that this policy in many sections looks a lot like Madison Heights' policy, so we've already taken some cues from them. I think we could take some more. And cities like Pleasant Ridge and Ferndale resolved their concerns much sooner than that, much earlier than that, rather. I happen to agree with Mary Garrett that section 2, subsection 3 is a little fussy and probably unnecessary, and for what it's worth, I would support striking that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to be heard? Anyone?
Excuse me. Good evening, everybody. My name is Erica Reed. My husband and I reside at 26846 Lathrop Boulevard. We've been there 28 years. We love Lathrop. We moved here because of the culture and the environment. We have concerns, and it's not often that we are led because my husband is a pastor of a church in Ferndale, and we do apologize for not being at a lot of the meetings. I'm always online most of the time, viewing and commenting and things like that. I want to raise my voice because I feel led to raise my voice. I indicated in my first statement that I love Lathrop Village. We moved here with my 2 boys 28 years ago, and because of the environment, the family environment, in our values, aligned with each other. All across the United States, you'll see that most people move to an area. I was in real estate for some years, and then I took up living. Most people move to an area because of their values that align with them. I see that being challenged now. Now, I have no problems with people and their beliefs. None whatsoever. The Bible says, if it be possible to live peaceably with all men, I don't hang a banner and say, I'm a Christian, you better believe that what I believe. No, I don't. Do I need to? No, I don't. I just live my life. Hopefully that someone might see my light and might be drawn to it. I want to state, and I'm doing this because I know there's persecution that comes with when you rub up against the grain. I know that. My husband knows that. But I have two beautiful grandchildren. We bring them to the park all the time. And we live in Ferndale. Not live in Ferndale. We have our church on 9 Mile in Ferndale. We know the differences that come with the city taking a stand in terms of hanging up a pride flag. Is the issue the pride flag? It's not the issue of the pride flag. It's what does our city represent? What do we want to represent? What does the council stand for in representation? I know that there is loud voices. Are they the voices of the community? I'm okay if the community says
Thank
yes.
you, Sheree. Thank
Okay?
you. Thank you. Anyone else want to be heard? Yep.
John Roberts, 27486 Lathrop Boulevard. We've lived here and loved this community for sure. We've been here for 46, going on 47 years. Raised our families here. The demographics